Hey everyone, welcome to week 32 of pregnancy. This is your 25-minute workout. If you haven't joined the community already, hit the subscribe button once you're done so you can see when our future workout videos are coming out. All you need is a mat today as per usual, some water to keep you hydrated, and we'll start with a bit of a warm-up in standing. So bring those legs nice and wide. You're going to lunge to one side and then twist into a lunge before switching to the other side. So here we're just warming up those hips. It doesn't have to be a fast movement. Nice, slow and controlled. You should feel an inner thigh stretch here. If the twist is a bit too much, maybe a little bit painful, then just do side lunges and forego the twist. But if you are doing the twist, we're going to do 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. You're then going to bring your shoulders up to a 90-degree position and just rotate them down and up, keeping that chest open as you do so. So now just warming up those shoulders. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands come behind the head. You're going to extend that upper back, lift the chest towards the ceiling, and then curl forward. Lift, extend, and then curl forward. Try to avoid letting the lower back arch. The movement happens at the upper spine rather than the lower spine. 1 more, and curl. We're then going to stretch out those glutes so you can cross one leg over the other, sit down, hold for a couple of seconds, and then switch. If you need some support, feel free to hold a wall, a table, or a chair. And if these single leg activities are a little bit aggravating, then you can stick to simple squats just to warm up those legs in a less painful movement than these single leg movements if they are aggravating any pelvic girdle pain. 1 more each way. And last one. Okay, just once more through those warm-up movements. Side lunge into that twist. Other side. Nice smooth movement from side to side. Just 1 more each way. Last one. Bring those hands up and just rotate those shoulders, flicking those hands down and up. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands behind head. Lift the chest to ceiling. Extend open and then round forward. Open and round forward. As you open, inhale, and exhale as you round. 1 more. into that glute stretch. Keep your eyes focused on one specific point to help keep your balance. 4 more. Keep those abdominals braced for stability. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll continue that warm up, but get a little bit heavier with our workout as we move into some leg work. So what you're going to do is step out to one side into a squat and then lift the leg into a little bit of a balance. So the leg is not coming up very high, it's more a push off one leg onto the other. The leg that you're standing on, you want to squeeze the glutes in that balanced position for stability and to make sure that they're working. 3, 2, 1, and then switch to the other side. Squat and then lift. So depending on how fast you do this, you're also getting in some cardio as you start to get that heart rate a little bit higher. You can do this slow and controlled, but if you want a little bit more of a cardio workout, you can speed it up. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're then going to bring those legs nice and wide, toes pointing out, down into a plie, push the knees out. We keep the depth of this plie as we twist from side to side into a lunge. So this is similar to our warm-up exercise with those rotating lunges, but now we're keeping that plie in the middle, so we're really working those glutes. As you come back to the middle, push the knees out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up. Our next leg burner is a curtsy squat. So you're going to bring one leg behind the other, standing up nice and tall, and bend down into a squat, tucking the back knee behind the front, and then come up, down, and up. And all of these exercises can be done holding onto a chair or a wall for support, which will take a little bit of weight off of the pelvis if you're finding that you're struggling with balance or any pelvic pain. Down, squeeze, up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Other side. One leg behind the other. Brace those abdominals, and you curtsy squat to come up. As you come up, think about squeezing the glutes of that front leg and also squeezing the inner thighs. We're targeting all of these big leg and thigh muscles here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake out those legs a little. Now we know what all the exercises are. We're going to start from the beginning. Stepping out into a squat, push off into a leg lift. As you come up, try to keep a straight body line rather than tipping over. Takes a little bit more control. And if it's more comfortable for you to just stick with normal squats, you can do that. You can even just shift a little bit of the weight and do a squat with one heel elevated. So there's a little bit less weight on the pelvis than you have with a single leg activity. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. To the other side. Step out, squat, lift. Try to make sure that you're holding that balance even just for half a second, and you're coming out of it in a controlled way rather than just falling out of it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 into our plie. So now wide legs, toes pointing out. Push the knees back as you plie, hold that depth, and then add that twist. If the twist is aggravating any pain, then you can just stay in a plie and pulse here. Keep it going. Six, 5, 4, push the knees out in that center. 3, 2, and 1. Curtsy squat. So one leg behind the other. Stand up nice and tall, brace those abs, and squat down and up. Breathe. Keep that breath going. Exercising muscles need oxygen, and they get that through our breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Other side. One leg behind the other. Brace and bend those knees. Keep that breath going. So as well as strengthening those leg muscles, we're also training hip control and pelvic control in a little bit of a different position. Add a little bit of a twist to work the muscles in a slightly different way. 4, 3, 2, last one, and come up, shake those legs out. That is all the standing work done for today. We're now going to move onto the mat. So we'll move into a downward dog position, rolling down, chin to chest. And then you can walk forward into an all fours position, before pushing back into a downward dog. Now you may need to open your feet a little bit wider here to accommodate the belly. Knees slightly bent, drive the chest between those arms. And in this position, we're going to pedal those feet. So letting the hips go with the movement. You should feel a bit of a calf stretch as you switch from side to side. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold this position. We're going to do 8 push-ups. So we're bending the elbows as you lower the top of your head towards the mat and push back up. And again, down and up. So working those muscles in between the shoulder blades. Keep that chest open as you lower. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Lower the knees down, knees wide, and sit back into a child's pose. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we're just going to do 8 more pedals into 8 more downward dog push-ups before we shift gears and do something else. So push the hips to the ceiling, drive that chest between the arms and pedal for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 8 push-ups, nice and controlled. This is 4. 4 more. Last 2. And knees down, sit back into child's pose. Stretch those hands forwards. Okay, now you're going to move into an all fours position, but then you're going to walk your hands a little bit further forward into almost a kneeling push-up position. Now you can play with how far you bring your hips forward or back, but what you want to note is what your belly is doing. So you want to brace those abdominals, bring that baby closer towards you, and then bring the hips forward. Once you start to see the belly point or cone, you'll know you've probably gone a little bit too far and you should bring those hips back a bit. So choose a position where you feel that core working, but you're still able to keep the correct form. For me, that's about here today. And we're going to lower one elbow down, other elbow down, and then back up. So we're walking those elbows down and then back up. Now what we're focusing on here is the abdominal brace. We want to keep the core engaged. Try not to let the hips rock from side to side. Everything stays nice and centered as we walk down and up with those hands. The further forward you bring the hips, the more challenging it'll be. 2 more. Last one. Hold this position. You're now going to tap each shoulder. So tap the opposite shoulder and then switch. Same key points. So we're focusing on that abdominal stability, that bracing. And we do have a video on how to brace or activate the deep abdominals if you're a bit unsure. But this is training core and pelvic stability. And we're also working shoulder stabilizers too. One more each side. And sit back. So just roll those shoulders back and down. We're going to do that once more. So down into, or forward into that all fours position. Bring the hips forward or take them back into a position that you're comfortable with, but challenged. And we're going to walk down and back up. Down and up. Keep those hips still. They're not rocking from side to side. And an easy way to tell if you're bracing correctly is just to have a quick look down at your tummy. If you're seeing a point or a hill running down the middle of your belly, you probably need to shift the hips back a bit and take the load off so you can concentrate on a form. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold that position, and we move into opposite shoulder taps. Try to keep those shoulder blades down the back. And switch, switch. Almost there, just 6 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And bring those hips back, just roll those shoulders out. You're then going to swing those legs forwards as we work on our triceps and glutes. So legs can be a bit wider, once again, to accommodate that growing belly. You're going to put your hands behind you, fingers facing forwards, push out of those shoulders. Lift the hips up to the ceiling. The movement is a tricep dip and a heel lift. Tricep dip, other side, heel lift, and we keep switching. So working the arms and the legs. Down, lift, down, and lift. Just one more each side. Down, lift, hips down. You're going to switch the hand position now to have fingers facing outwards. You're going to lengthen your legs, toes pointing up as we do a long-legged bridge. So here, our hips come to the ceiling and we come down to hover off the mat. Not all the way down, squeeze back up. Down and up. So you should feel the hamstrings, those muscles on the backs of the thighs also working here. If this is a bit too challenging, maybe a bit too much pressure on the wrists, you can do this lying on your back, just lifting hips to ceiling in a normal bridge. And you can even do this with your back on the edge of a couch. 3, 2, 1, down. Just come up, roll those shoulders. We're going to do 8 tricep dips, 8 bridges, and then that is our workout complete for today. We're almost there. So hips up, tricep dip, heel lift, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hips down, fingers pointing outwards, long legs, toes up, and we lift, squeeze, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Just let the knees fall out. That is all the hard work done for today. We're going to move into a bit of stretching. So bring one leg forward, other leg back in a mermaid position. You're going to reach up and over to the same side as that front leg and just stretch out that torso. Breathe. So stretching is always a great time to practice our breathing, and we do have a video on how to breathe deeply and effectively, so check that out. Other side, you can hold the front leg and reach up and over the opposite way. You're then going to take that back leg out to the side, turn your chest towards it, and hinge forward until you feel a bit of a calf or a hamstring stretch here. Try not to hunch over, keep the chest open. Okay, other side, we start with that mermaid stretch, up and over, same side as that front leg. And switch sides. Breathe. Take that back leg out to the side, turn the chest towards it, and hinge forward. And just cross those legs. Bring the hands forward. You're going to push forwards, rounding the shoulders, chin to chest, until you feel a stretch between the shoulder blades. And then open up the opposite way, clasp those hands behind the back, and open that chest. Okay, shake out those hands, moving back into standing. You can stand up whichever way you want to. I'm going to roll up. Whew. Exhaling, that is our 25-minute workout complete. Have a look at the 15-minute workout, which will be out later this week if you want to get into a little bit more movement, strengthening, and stretching. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already, so you know when all of our new videos are coming out. Cheers, guys. Thanks again from Belly Strong.